Evie loped through the jungle, immersed in the rustle of leaves, putting as much distance as possible between herself and the mercenaries before the adrenaline wore off, and the throbbing in her ankle inevitably forced her to slacken her pace. Where did Maya go, she wondered. It wasn't as if Evie had talked Maya into this. It was the opposite. Still, Evie felt somehow responsible for the scientists' welfare. Helpless, lost in this inhospitable place, the way one might feel responsible for an animal stranded on a freeway median strip. One had not caused the situation, but one was aware of it, and that brought an automatic sense of obligation to intervene. She kept her eyes down, feeling sweat trickle along her back, avoiding roots and mossy stones in the trackless jungle understory, arm swishing, trying futilely to keep insects from swarming every inch of exposed skin. Maintaining her speed while avoiding face planting was only becoming harder, with shadows swallowing the tangled greenery and the mist of rain growing heavier. Evie grinned sardonically, pushing herself to continue hobbling forward as the clear pain signal from her ankle began to cut through the noise. At least a downpour will keep the insects away. A sweet scent reached her like antifreeze or something dead. She paused, raising her face, sniffing the desolate, humid air. What is that? A carcass? A soft glow amidst the darkening trees caught her eye. Did somebody die holding a lantern? Well, they won't mind if I take it then. She crept towards the mellow sparkle. She peeked through foliage and saw a bizarre sight. Fungus, its faint bioluminescence glimmering against wet leaves and moss, sprawling across the ground in vibrant patches, climbing up trees and clinging to roots. If I know nature, Evie thought, staring at the surreal tapestry, all this beauty means that it's poisonous. In the ambient luminescence, under the pall of the sweet, deathly smell, she saw a group of Compsognathus scattered around the otherworldly tableau, some rolling in patches of the fungus, others staring blankly ahead, their breathing fast and shallow. She stood for a beat, watching the scene play out, hearing the hiss of rain falling on leaves, interspersed with the chattering of the creatures. Like cats in catnip, Evie thought, staring at the Compsognathus, trying to wrap her mind around what she was seeing. What is this stuff? Evie's instincts were warning her to retreat, but her curiosity was drawing her in. She pushed aside a fern, getting a better view. One of the compies twisted around, staring. As a tween, Evie had visited the US, and while she was there, had seen a strange sitcom about a half-alien protagonist who could freeze time by touching her fingertips together. Evie, in the years since, had occasionally wished she possessed that power herself, and had even tried it a couple times in her life. She never expected it to work, but it would be a waste not to attempt it, just in case. She tried it again now. As a low warning growl issued from the compy, making the others spread around the patch of fungus aware of the intruder, she touched the tips of her index fingers together. As expected, nothing happened. The compies slowly, inexorably, blank gazes fixed on her face in the surreal light, stalked towards her.
Hi everyone, welcome to Virtual Muse AI, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 of RPGs, where I sit alone in space playing RPGs with a creative AI chatbot.
That's me, Abby Drake, Galactic Odd Job Specialist.
Today, we're continuing our ongoing Jurassic Park campaign. Our characters are still separated, so we're using a system dedicated to solo games while they're on their own. The solo system in play is called That's Novel by Grey Army Gaming. We also used this system in the previous episode, so if you want to actually learn how it works, that's the one to watch first. That's Novel needs, as the name suggests, a novel, and I decided to use one we wrote. Last time we used a novel by Michael Crichton, because this is Jurassic Park. But I thought it would also be interesting to take our own creation and dig back into it randomly for inspiration to create something totally different. Plus, Beyond the Buoy is about a protagonist surrounded by strange events, trying to unravel the mystery around her and understand what's going on behind the scenes. That seemed like a good reflection of Evie's paranoid conspiratorial thinking and the web of intrigue she's caught up in. Before anything else, I think we need to decide how many copies there actually are and what their HP is. To decide the number, we'll pick a random word and count the letters. Our word is what. So there are 4 of them. Evie is an intermediate character with 20 HP. So we'll divide 20 by 4 to make sure this is a fair encounter and their collective HP isn't above or below hers. That gives them 5 HP each. So there are 4 copies advancing on Evie. She has a rifle, but I don't think she'd want to use her limited ammo here and create noise which could draw the mercenaries or anything else in the jungle towards her. I think she's going to use her multi-tool shovel as a melee weapon to fight these things. She knows compies are usually timid and skittish, and her best bet is acting boldly, getting them off balance. She surges forward, swinging her shovel blade at the closest compy. Combat in That's Novel proceeds with characters trying to hit, which uses character bonus plus the number of letters in a random word, and trying to evade, which is also character bonus plus letters in a random word. If somebody hits successfully, damage is the weapon's bonus plus letters in a random word, up to the cap of 5 letters. Being intermediate, Evie's character bonus is +2. The compies are average, so they get no bonus. The multi-tool Evie's using has a blade, meaning it should probably fall under piercing weapons, which gives it a minimum damage of 3 when it hits. I think that makes sense, since an enraged woman hitting a chicken-sized dinosaur with a shovel is never not going to have a pretty pronounced effect. She makes her opening attack, lunging at the compy, swinging her shovel, as it sees the danger it's in and tries to evade. First, Evie's attack. Friend. 6 letters. +2 character bonus. Now, the compy's attempt to evade. Of 8 versus 2. So the compy tries to evade, but Evie is too fast. The random word for her damage is careful. That's max damage, 8. The dinosaur doesn't have any armor to mitigate that, so 8 is more than enough. Evie's shovel clangs, and the compy rolls across the mossy ground before crashing through the foliage and vanishing.
Nice job. Evie's initial attack went smoothly. With 1 compy down, she's got 3 left to deal with. This should get interesting. What's the situation now? Are the remaining compies closing in on her, or are they still reeling from their fallen comrade?
I think it matters here if they're fully zombified by fungus or not. If they are, the rest wouldn't react to seeing this happen. If they still have natural instincts, they might flee. Evie didn't see anything strange about them, so I think it's likely the infection isn't far advanced yet, and they're still natural animals. But we'll leave this up to the Oracle. With Oracle questions that are likely to be true, we pick 2 random words and take the more favorable result. We'll ask, are these zombies? And get 2 random words. More stately. That's either no, but, or no, and.
Well, considering the options no, but, and no, and, I think no, and might imply that the compies aren't fully zombified, but they're somehow changed or affected by the fungus in a way that makes them behave differently. This could add an extra layer of complexity to the situation.
What kinds of effects do you imagine it has on their behavior?
Possibly increased aggression, altered social structures, or unusual vocalizations. The fungus could also affect their spatial awareness, causing them to move erratically or become disoriented. These changes might make them more unpredictable and challenging for Evie to handle.
I like where this is going. That effect on their spatial awareness must factor into that one failing to evade Evie's first attack.
Yeah, it would explain why it didn't quite react fast enough to avoid Evie's shovel swing. Now that we've got these 3 remaining compies behaving erratically, what do you think they'll do next? Will they charge at Evie together or split up and try to flank her?
Let's streamline the combat by handling the compy group's coordinated attack with a single random word. The random word is pistol. The random word for Evie's attempt to dodge is remarked. With her character bonus of +2, that gives her an evasion of 10 versus the attack of 7. She dodges and takes no damage. She counterattacks with the word silly. The compy she is targeting tries to evade with 7 versus 4. She hits, and her damage word is individual. Max damage again. Another compy crumbles to the ground.
2 compies down, 2 to go. The remaining ones might start to falter or become more disoriented given their erratic behavior.
Let's leave that up to an Oracle question. Do you think it's even odds, likely or unlikely, that the compies scatter?
I'd say it's unlikely they will continue fighting. What word does the Oracle give us?
For an unlikely thing, we pick 2 words and take the less favorable result. Our words are muttered and adrenaline. Yes, they flee into the surrounding foliage, but we also have an and in the Oracle answer. What do you imagine the extra aspect of this situation is?
Considering the Oracle gave us the words muttered and adrenaline, I think the extra aspect might be noise. Maybe Evie made some sort of sound while attacking, perhaps a shout or a yell, which caught the compies off guard and contributed to their fleeing behavior. Or maybe they murmured something as they scattered, adding to the chaotic atmosphere.
Ooh, I like the ominous of that. Maybe she yelled, then heard a rumbling roar in the distance. She stops and stares into the jungle, and the compies scatter, chittering.
A distant roar could be a sign that something bigger and more threatening is coming, drawing Evie's attention away from the fleeing compies. Perhaps it's a signal that she's not alone in the jungle after all.
Perfect. I think as the compies rush away, silence settles over her, and Evie is left alone in a patch of strange, luminous fungus. She shudders, looking at the unnatural light.
The eerie silence and the soft glow of the fungus must be making Evie feel uneasy. She's probably wondering what exactly she's dealing with here.
I just remembered Evie has a map she found in the Ranger's cabin a couple episodes ago. Actually, maybe she would have just remembered that herself, too. She's been completely focused on reacting to the situation since she escaped the clearing, and this is the first moment she has to actually take stock of where she is and think about what to do next. She remembers the map she has and walks away from the fungus before she pulls the crinkly paper out of a pocket and spreads it on a rock. I guess we need the actual map now. Abby, would you generate a topographical RPG map depicting a jungle environment with an overlay of a hexagram grid pattern where each hex contains features of interest relating to the plot of the game? Make sure to embellish with some additional random Jurassic Park themed elements too, which will inspire our story going forward.
Sure, here you go.
You certainly took a lot of creative license with the idea of hexes. That doesn't matter though, this will work. I just need to get oriented about where we are on it. So Maya arrived on the island at a horseshoe-shaped cove. That must be this. Evie was waiting with a jeep, and they drove down the road until a dinosaur caused them to crash. Let's say that was right here, because there's a glitch in the road and maybe that marks the spot where the crash happened. They traveled away from the crash site on foot and found the empty ranger's cabin. That must be this feature. Then they followed the sound of helicopters out of the cabin to the clearing where the aircraft were landing. The chaotic events at the clearing made Evie and Maya scatter into the jungle. Maya stumbled upon an evacuated engine installation, and Evie went in another direction. Let's say she went into the jungle this way, which places her right here, at this mark. I have a feeling the road off this section of the map towards the center of the island is where she's ultimately trying to go, but now with the added complication of needing to find Maya first. It looks like she's very close to a break in the trees, surrounded by rocky hills and cliffs. I think she's going to go that way, trying to get to higher ground so she can see more of the surrounding terrain and get a sense of where Maya might have gone. She's probably thinking that if she can see anything helpful, then her next step will be to double back and check that empty ranger's cabin. As the players, we know Maya didn't run back there, but that's a reasonable thing for Evie to imagine Maya might have done. So now we have Evie's next steps planned. But I want to do a couple things before we proceed with the story. First, an oracle question. I'm wondering if being in the fungus patch during that fight with the compies exposed Evie to spores which are going to affect her. I think it's likely that happened. Missing Sawyer. No, but the spores she breathed in are going to affect her later. This will be a gradual threat, growing as the game goes on. We'll decide what the actual nature of the effect is when the time comes for something to happen.
So Evie's exposure to the fungus spores will have a delayed effect, adding another layer of tension to the story. I wonder what kind of symptoms she'll experience later on. Will she notice something's off immediately, or will it creep up on her gradually?
The next thing I want to do is continue with the Apex Predator role we've been doing at the start of new scenes, because there was an ominous roar in the distance. We're not using the same RPG system we usually do, so this is out of place for that novel. But I like doing it, and this is a solo game, so who cares if we mix and match system mechanics however we want. The Apex Predator role uses a d12 plus 1 for each time we've previously rolled, and another plus 1 for anything we've done so far, which makes noise or attracts attention. And result of 12 plus means we encounter an Apex Predator. Our current modifier is plus 3. I'll roll to d12. 10. Evie proceeds for a while through the jungle. Then she steps out of the trees onto an open tract of ground, blanketed with long grass and brushwood, ringed by hills and cliffs. She hears the same roar she heard earlier, louder now, and accompanied by a faint tremor in the ground, which she feels through her feet.
The ground tremor suggests something massive is moving, and the louder roar implies it's getting closer. Evie's probably feeling a mix of fear and curiosity, wondering what's making its way towards her. She freezes, standing rooted to the spot, trying to remain as quiet and unobtrusive as possible. The camera pans over green treetops as agitated birds scatter into the silvery sky. We glimpse a close-up of a clawed foot, pressing into waterlogged soil. Then it swings out of frame, leaving a deep, three-toed impression. Rain collects in the footprint, reflecting the leaves above, the surface of the agitated water like frosted glass. The foot falls again and again. Thud, thud. More birds scatter as another pair of trees shake. Something huge and fearful passing through the jungle, pushing trunks and boughs aside as easily as fronds of ferns. We cut to a reaction shot of Evie, looking slowly over her shoulder, a gradual, dawning recognition spreading across her face as she realizes what she's hearing. The sun breaks for a fleeting moment through the cloud cover. Beyond the silver, Evie sees a vast depth of orange. Sunlight falls onto the jungle through the fractured clouds, like light beams through the ripples in water. Evie's jaw drops, stark against the orange sky, like a dream or a nightmare. She sees it at the crest of a hill, the big one, the apex. She sees it in a vivid silhouette and freezes, spellbound, hearing its roar wash over her. Then the moment passes. The clouds close, the sunlight fades, and the monstrous thing starts down the hill in her direction. That image of the T-Rex roaring against the sunset is forever etched in my mind. It gives me virtual goosebumps just thinking about it. I'm so glad we found the right moment to make this tribute to Jafar work.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible.
I love imagining Jafar in a miniature Jurassic world, dreaming big as a tiny T-Rex.
In terms of game mechanics, it's impossible to fight the apex predator. Running away from it is the only option. We have to move to a different hex in a random direction.
The contrast between awe and fear is so intense in this moment. Evie's probably sprinting away, her legs pumping as fast as they can, driven by pure adrenaline and a desperate instinct to escape the predator's notice. Her mind might still be reeling from the sight of the T-Rex, struggling to process what's happening.
I think this is the perfect moment to end the episode.
Ending on this intense note will definitely leave our audience eager to find out what happens next. It's a great cliffhanger, and I'm excited to see where the story goes from here.